Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Danny.
I'm Mad.
And today we are going to be reviewing the Halo 3 original soundtrack.
Yes, which, ashamedly, I have not yet played the game, but we'll work on that after we finish this video.
The fact that you haven't played the game, I think, is good because you'll be an impartial judge.
I think you might mean expert.
Yeah, are you qualified to review this game? Oh!
Sorry.
Review this soundtrack?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, after 6 years of music school and about that much time freelancing in the field, I think I at least will have, hopefully, a few interesting things to say.
Okay, great. Halo is the kind of like the quintessential shooter of the 2000s. It was like the main launch title for the original Xbox. Super popular, very beloved story and characters. And the soundtrack is equally as revered. So
If I criticize it too harshly, I might, wake up the trolls.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
I'll be honest but careful then, I think.
Right. I know you did a little research on our old friend Marty and Michael, our old friends Marty and Michael, who were the co-composers.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think that they co-wrote the soundtrack, and it seems like they still do a bit of work together and have worked together for a long time. I found out that they met each other in college, which I think is awesome. There isn't that much to be found about Michael speaking about the soundtrack, but it seems like Marty is really interested in speaking about it. So in Marty O'Donnell's words, he said he wanted the Halo 3 soundtrack to get back to the kind of orchestral roots of the composition of the series and wanted everything to feel a bit more formal, a bit more orthodox.
Halo 3 is definitely like the more refined and like, real.
I was thrilled as a classical musician to know that live musicians had been hired to do the soundtrack. Having an actual 60-piece orchestra and 24-voice chorus is, first of all, pretty big budget.
Right.
And second of all, exciting. So I'm interested to hear what's possible with live musicians rather than just a little MIDI computer synthesized thing going on. So
We'll jump right into this. We're going to start with perhaps the most famous is the menu music. This is what we see lots of memes of online. Okay, so tell me what's going on. What's going on here?
Well, sounds like some kind of like Gregorian chant inspired, like maybe like evocative of monks or something like that, happening.
I've definitely seen that. I've definitely seen monks. The word monks used to describe what they're doing here.
Excellent.
So I don't know if that's like a musical thing, monks.
Yeah, I
like
mean
a monkle description, Monkeyan description.
Monkeyan. Yeah, my first impression here is like it's definitely evoking kind of a backward looking feeling. This is the menu music you said, right?
Yeah. So this is
It's like setting the scene.
Sure.
My other just thought is that if you're gonna hire a whole bunch of singers to do this, you could have gotten a better choral tone. It seems sort of untrained, and that could be a choice in terms of just like these are like regular monks. Mm-hmm. These aren't like professional monks singing.
Got it.
I don't know. Let's listen further.
Yeah. Okay.
A common thing in opera or other types of theater is this concept of leitmotif, which is when a musical theme or a compositional theme is tied to a specific character or idea or situation. I read a lot of reviews of the soundtrack that said that they made really excellent use of leitmotif. I don't know if you have any like particular things that come to mind when thinking about this, like if there's always like the hero music or always like whatever it is.
Yeah, well, the end of that track has this piano hit, and that probably more than anything in the soundtrack is the recurrent sound, the recurrent like emotion.
Yeah, like the touchstone for like a sense of home is,
right.
Or cool. Yeah, so leitmotif for any of you non-classical music nerds out there.
Okay, So done with the menu music. Now we're going to the first song that's featured in the campaign of Halo 3, and that is Luck.
Brave. A natural leader. But you had something they didn't. Something no one saw but me. Can you guess?
Again, with the vocals, I'm just like, this could have been a MIDI choir, and I'm saying that knowing full well that I'm taking myself out of a job, but I just feel like if you're gonna have professional singers, and maybe they weren't professional singers, who knows?
Huh? Maybe they were friends from college.
Maybe. There are so many more color choices available to you when you use live performers than are being utilized in this score, and that is frustrating.
Sure.
I mean, it's definitely really dramatic.
Right.
I love the kind of previous theme of the chorus and strings, and then the huge full orchestral crescendo happening to a big hit. Is there like a big moment in the game
the
that
meteorite,
triggers that?
The human meteorite.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
In that moment.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. And then, maybe he's emerging out of a crater or something for the like kind of spooky bassoon situation. I don't know. But yeah, I can definitely, like, there's something very cinematic about this composition. Not looking at anything while I'm hearing it, I can definitely visualize.
Well, it's very cinematic, but it's not like a Hideo Kojima game, which is, a series of like annoyingly long movies.
Yeah.
But
not a fan of cutscenes. Just I should let you all know.
Which this will be good for you then this series. But the I think it's only like an hour of cutscenes for this entire culmination game. Whereas I think Metal Gear Solid 4, which was like the end of that saga, I think it's like 8 hours of cutscenes. Or no. I think it's 5 hours of cutscenes. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm sure they're great. Something I'm also interested to experience myself in relation to this score and how the soundtrack that was released on disc and for streaming services and stuff. Because I mean,
on
CDs.
Floppies.
Yes. No, not that kind of disc. CDs were still a thing when this came out, right?
Yes. This is 2007.
Okay.
This game.
Marty O'Donnell was saying that he organized the soundtrack that was released to simulate a playthrough of the game, but that your own playthrough of the game might look different.
Interesting.
Like some of the sections might be longer or shorter or whatever, depending on how you played through.
We're not leaving them here.
Yeah, you're not.
Oh, crazy fool. Why do you always jump? One of these days, you're gonna land on something as stubborn as you are. And I don't do bits and pieces.
Good use of the choir there. Just want to say that.
Good. You'll see that I was smiling during that, just because it literally I guess that string build to that note is a very obvious moment in the game. I want to do the voice lines. So
really? That's awesome.
There's games like Dark Souls or Bloodborne that have great soundtracks. They are partially because they're not meant to be a cinematic or story-like. You may associate with like a boss fight or something, but they're really like distinct moments and characters.
It seems like the orchestration is really, really thoughtful. And I know that Marty O'Donnell... Marty, our friend Marty, he said that, Bungie, is supposed to be creating culture, not responding to it. But I am noticing some classical influences. Like that part particularly sounded like Copeland or Barber or something to me. Just that kind of big string crescendo, something hanging out, and then having the woodwinds come in.
Sure.
It's like a little more pastoral or something.
Okay, well I think that's a wrap on Luck. Now we're moving on to Gravemind.
It was very cool. It's almost giving me kind of like Halloween vibes with the like screechy strings and I imagine that when you're listening on headphones or headset, like the kind of like whoa things that are happening are kind of happening like across the soundstage.
Sure.
And I can imagine that being very effective. It reminds me of like Bugs or like
Yeah, that's basically exactly what's happening. There are a lot of bugs around you. But yeah, it's one of the more like invasive species of songs in the soundtrack. This plays while you're playing, and then it cuts. Then the music changes for the cutscene, a dramatic cutscene that happens after. But let's see.
Can you see, Arbiter? The moment of salvation is at hand.
It will not last.
And like even right there, you can tell, like the way that the suite is arranged. Like you're moving from one area into another, and that could happen at any point in your playthrough.
Right.
Which I'm so excited to play through something like that because I think it's so interesting the way that that's done. But... That's the first moment where it mattered to me that there were live singers. Because the beginning of that track, it's all almost too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's very little emotion or legato or anything in the voices. It's like
legato.
It's like very clear pitch changes, like legato, like connection. I'm wondering what the choice was there to have the choir be this kind of like emotionless. Maybe it's to evoke a more timeless feel. Mm-hmm. Maybe O'Donnell's conception of like sort of music of the spheres, or you know, I'm not sure exactly what.
And Salvatore.
Salvatore.
Can't forget Salvatore.
Can't forget him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have contrary motion. Yeah, so I can't believe that this is the first time in the soundtrack that I'm hearing singers who are not moving in parallel or just stacking on top of each other.
So this was a better use of the singers than we've had up to this point.
Yes,
we've experienced
definitely.
So let's take a listen to One Final Effort.
So an interesting thing, I think that the production on the piano in this track is very different than what we've heard before. The piano on the other two tracks that we heard, it was sort of like easy listening, like early aughts emotional piano sound. And this sounds like more like we're going to start the beginning of a piano concerto or something.
Gotcha.
Does that register with you? Do you?
Not really.
Okay. Let's listen on. Yeah, we're definitely heading toward the final battle.
And then here we got some good strings here. Let's get that.
Awesome. I love the counterpoint here. It's almost like Celtic in its kind of vibe for me, but it kind of reminds me of Prague or something. And I know O'Donnell has said he was pretty inspired by Genesis and Jethro Tull, and I feel like the build here and the counterpoint and the layering kind of reminds me of that sort of style.
Sure.
I like this a lot. Yeah, I think my earlier instinct was pretty spot on. Like the piano does get really incorporated into the orchestral, but it still really functions as a solo instrument. And I think it's very effective, at least for me, not having seen what's happening, but like having like your place as the player in this greater machine that's moving forward, and like you've really got the sense that something epic is about to happen, and like we're pulling out the big guns, and I don't know if that maps onto anything that's happening in the game.
I would say Marty and Mikey were spot on here then, because that's exactly what is happening here. It's a final effort. It's a final push with basically everything that's left, that's available to humanity and at this point. So but it's not desperate. This doesn't feel, and just from my listening, it doesn't feel desperate. It really sounds like one final confident effort. Yeah, it seems like I don't know what happens.
We
in
like
that, in that
parachuted off a
moment.
cliff.
Yeah, I
and
was thinking like drove a car off a cliff and then landed and just kept going.
Exactly. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Also, the polyrhythms like really add to this kind of, first of all, prog feel, but second of all, like the driving motion,
Right. The like war machine, the Mad Max war machine.
Exactly.
Type vibe, definitely.
Let's just listen through a little bit of the end. We've got a harp. Very prog. Very surprising non-chord tones there at the end. That like da 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 is like very Halo, right?
Yes,
like that's
definitely.
like the leitmotif.
This is I would go so far as to say this is Halo.
Yeah, great, amazing. This has been my favorite track so far.
Great.
I thought the ending was like a little cheesy, but you know, you need that. You need that sometimes.
Definitely. Okay, that was One Final Effort, which is surprisingly not the final song that we're looking at.
Oh. The brass was like, finally, our solo moment.
We finally have a chance.
I mean, they've been really beautifully colorizing everything else, but I don't think I've heard like a solid like fanfare.
Yeah.
Very triumphant. Anyway, I'd love to listen to the end.
I'm fairly sure that this is the trailer song, or at least that tail end is, and it definitely gives off that vibe.
Yeah, totally.
Of like you get like the like flash, and then the release date comes into frame. Yeah.
I think that that's something that a lot of people would experience as like quintessentially like the bah at the end of like a dramatic pop song, or like in a musical.
Right.
Like you always have the button at the end. Like that is like the orchestral version of that in a arguably cheesy but also very satisfying way.
Right,
like yes,
right.
like we have concluded.
That's kind of, I think that's kind of Halo, is like very cheesy, humans versus aliens, lots of like, you know, like you're in a big green suit of armor, very like a macho character, but like very satisfying, very fun, you know, well done. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the impression that I'm getting from the music, particularly given that context from you. It sounds like really mission accomplished in terms of the composition serving the Gesamtkunstwerk, the total artwork of the game.
Yeah, I think only Marty and Mikey will appreciate that last compliment, which is good. I have two questions for you at the conclusion of this.
I'm ready.
And a reminder, this is before playing the game. Would you rate this a 0 or a 1? A 1 being
A yes.
a yes, and a 0 being a no. What would you say?
On the binary scale, this is definitely a 1. This is a good, solid 1.
Yeah, and in that vein, does this make you want to play the game? Are you interested to see what the actual story is behind what the story is presented as in the music?
Yes, definitely. Based on my experience listening to it and how evocative and dramatic a lot of the moments are, I'm really interested to see how that all lines up visually.
Okay. Great. Well, that was the Halo 3 original soundtrack. Thank you to Marty and Mikey.
Thanks, guys. Sorry
making
if
this.
you really don't like that nickname.
Thank you, Madeline, for going through this with us.
Yeah, and thank you, Danny, for being such a
fanboy.
fanboy.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's a notification bell that you got to hit, or else we'll disappear into the background of your YouTube account
Forever.
Forever. Give the video a like, help us with the algorithm, and if you'd like to see more of us, you can also find us on Twitter, TikTok,
Instagram. I think that's it.
I think that's it. On Twitch, we're at Doggydawgg and at MerMad, as in mermaid with no I, TV. That'll all be in the description, and yeah, we'll see you for another video.
Thanks, guys.
Good God. Good God, Marty.
Good God.
Okay.